I want to know what I need to do so he can forgive me. I now understand that a lot of the resentment is towards me and how he was raised and without his dad, and so I'm very honest with myself, and I can take the blows. If I can take listening to your show, I can take calling in. I was ready for it.
And you still don't have the better life.
Right.
What is a better life?
You know,
Lynn, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning,
How are
Lynn.
you? Thank you for having me.
Yes. Any day now, I will hear you say,
okay, I'm
goodbye,
calling
my
because
love.
I have a 22-year-old biracial son who I raised, him and his sister, as a single mom. They're both biracial. They have the same father. He's now in the military.
Is your father black or white?
He's white.
And you're black?
I am black.
What the? In Georgia?
Yes, in Augusta, Georgia, at that.
Wow. No,
Yes.
I'm playing. Go ahead.
No, okay. And he recently left. He's in the Air Force now, and my son has a lot of anger towards me. And I've just recently started watching your show about a month ago, and I faithfully listen to it every day, and I go through all your videos, and then I came across the video with Sanico, I think that's his name. And it kind of reminded me of my son, of how confused he was and how he was trying to figure himself out, and kind of just what I got from the video a little bit, that he was kind of all over the place, and he kind of reminded me of my son at this stage in his life trying to figure things out. I want to know what I need to do so he can forgive me. I now understand that a lot of the resentment is towards me and how he was raised and without his dad, and I get that. I'm learning a lot from listening to your show. So, and I actually sent him the video of you and Sanico on the phone to get on the interview together. So, I want to know, how can I connect with my son so he can stop being so angry with me and so mad with me. I want him to forgive me, and I know I can't go to him and ask him to forgive me, but to come to realize that a lot of that anger that he has his resentment is towards me. And I have apologized. I've actually apologized to my son for a lot of the things that he went through as a child, for the decisions that I made even from day one when I met his dad and I had them out of wedlock. I mean, I have clearly apologized to him. So what do I need to do to get my son, from being so angry with me?
How old is he now?
He's 22.
Oh, well, all you can do is apologize to him for imposing your will on him, turning him away from his father, and just say, you know what, I was wrong, and I'm sorry for that. And I hope that you can forgive me so you can go free too. But until you forgive me and forgive your father for not being there to protect you from me, you're gonna grow up and you're gonna be just like me, because you become like what you hate, right? And once you apologize to him, that's all you can do. He may not be ready to forgive, so he may have to suffer for a while.
Okay.
And in his suffering, he may realize he want to be free, and he'll go and forgive you, and he'll be free. But you can't force not even your children to forgive, but you can apologize for what you've done.
I have done that. He's even told me, he was like, because now he's going through different, and he's even told me, like, you taught me to be this way, and now you're mad with me. Now you're calling me over emotional, because I've had to tell him to grow up a few times. I've kind of had to give him tough love when I would normally, not tell him the things that he need to hear. You know what I'm saying? And now that I'm being a strong mother, I know where my mistakes are. And then he even just recently told me, you taught me how to be this way, and so now everything you've taught me, you don't want me to be like that anymore. And so that hit home to me.
And what type of things you say to him now?
I say things to him like, he's had a lot of trouble, with women, meeting young ladies and having relationships. He's been hurt since he's been gone, and I had to tell him, you need to toughen up. You need to stop it. Don't let these young ladies use you and take your money. And I've never taught him to be that way, so I don't. But he's never had a dad to show him how. You know what I'm saying? So it's always been a conflict of like my mom trying to teach me how to be a man and how to handle ladies, but she's not that. And so now he's going out in the world and being used and being taken advantage of by women. And I'm like, well, I must have showed you that. I stopped doing that. And he gets mad with me when I'm tough with him about that. And so it's just been hard to communicate with him. And luckily I'm married now and I have a good husband and he has a good relationship with my husband. And he has a strong male who has faith in God. We have of course we have the same values and things like that. And we agree with your show. My husband and I, we talk about your show and stuff like that. So we're all on the same page when it comes to that. But I'm just ready for him to forgive me, and I know it has to be on his time.
Yes. Also, I want to encourage you. Don't say to him, "You need to grow up. You need to be tough. You need to do this," because he can't do that. If he could do that, he would have already done it. Because he's not happy with the women misusing him in that way, or anyone really misusing him. But he can't do it because he has your nature.
Yes.
He has the nature of the female, right, which is yours, and you got it from your mama and so on and so on. And so he just can't grow up just because you say grow up. But you got to he needs to know that his nature is your nature. You become like what you hate, and that he can't help it. And once he forgive you, then God will forgive him, and God will change his mindset and emotion from the female mindset to his mindset. And in his mindset, it's a clear mind. Then he will start standing up and dealing with things in the right way, in a perfect way. But he just can't do that. It's not in his nature. And so by you telling him, and he's right, you made him the way he is, and now you're telling him to be another way.
Right.
It doesn't happen that way.
Right. It's so frustrating because he's so angry. Like the anger that you're talking about, I'm afraid that he's going to get stuck in that. And, it's a lot of substance abuse on the dad's side and things like that. And, it's been hard to just, mental health and stuff like that. It's hard to try to, when him being out in the Air Force and things like that, want to make sure that he's okay all the way around. And so that anger is...
But if you can't make sure he's okay, because now you have already recreated him in your image, right?
Right.
And now you're trying to recreate him in another image, and all you're going to do is drive him deep into hell. You gotta just apologize where you went wrong. I'm sorry, son, for what I've done. I turned you away from your father. I made you be like me, and I'm sorry, I was wrong. But you can't make him be another way, the right way. He have to want that, and only God would change his nature and cause that to happen. You got to back off from that, because in your fear of seeing what's happening to him, you're going to drive him deeper into hell.
Okay.
He's going to suffer longer than he probably would if you didn't try to do that to him.
Okay.
You have to just let him suffer, and don't feel sorry for him, and don't pity him, or don't do any of that, because all that emotional stuff is evil, and it'll make his life even worse.
Yeah, I get that now. Like, I really, truly get that now. Yeah. And it's sad to sit back to watch. Like, it's almost like you're watching the monster that you've created.
Yes.
And you're watching and it's your child, and your child is suffering because of what you did, like the choices I made and all those things that I did for being selfish. And now my kids are suffering for it. And, it's very painful.
And why do you think you did those things to your kids? Have you apologized? You have a boy and a girl?
Yes.
Have you apologized to your daughter?
I have.
Okay. How old is she?
She's 23.
Yeah, because she's going to do the same thing you have done. She'll be attracted to the same kind of men and everything.
Yeah, she has. She's she has, and it's painful to watch her go through some of the things that I went through as an unwedded mother.
Yeah.
And she's on her second baby, and my first granddaughter is only 1. And so that, and even me being a single mom, of course, I didn't promote that. My kids went to magnet schools and they did really well, but I still was a single mom dealing with my stuff.
Yeah.
And and even though everything looked great, my own stuff, they were observing the stuff that I didn't. They were actually seeing the stuff that I didn't want them to see. And now, as a grandma and as a mom now, watching my adult children, it's very painful because now my daughter is an unwed mother, and she's on my grandbaby is due in December, which of course we all love the babies and things like that. And she's even with the father, but she's unwed. She doesn't have a degree, and that's not how I did things. And so it's all of those selfish decisions I made to have them. I see the suffering for it now, and it's so painful as a parent.
What a mess!
A mess.
Why does she need a degree? You said she doesn't have a degree. Why does she need one?
Well, because she wants one. She actually wants to be a nurse, so that's her desire.
Oh, I see.
Right now, she's a stay-at-home mom. Luckily, the father he's a teacher. He's able to take care of the household, which I love that. Like, I love her being home and taking care of her baby, and I'm encouraging her to take advantage of that. And she's in school, so now she's understanding, like staying at home. I do teach my daughter to keep the house clean and have the meal ready. I think that's important for, her to understand it, even though she's not married, but they're living together. And I think that she's learning how to balance it all. And she wants the degree, so that will she feels like that will help her be stable for her children in the future. But it's just a mess. When I first came to realize all of these things that I had done and all this mess that I created with my children, it was amazing.
Yeah. Amazing.
Amazing. So,
like, what the?
Exactly. I find myself saying, what did I do? And I own it.
Why do you think you did those things to your children?
Selfish. I used to put myself in situations where it was either fight or flight. And when you have children, that's a dangerous position to put yourself in, because one decision could make everything okay, and another decision could blow everything up in your face. And a lot of my decisions blew up in everybody's face for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
And a lot of because I was a single mom trying to make it and making decisions just to trying to keep a roof over my head. And it's not an excuse, because I'm educated. I'm highly educated. But I know that doesn't matter. But I did provide a stable home. And I was able to get decent jobs to pay the bills and things like. I put it like that.
Where were their father? Was their father in their life at all?
Substance abuse. Really, really, really bad substance abuse early on, and enough to where my son even observed it happening. He was so bad it was intravenous use, and he just recently. He was recently, about 3 years ago, diagnosed with kidney cancer. So it's just what a mess, as you can. And now
tell him to forgive his father, though.
Yes, he has.
Both of them.
They both of them. My daughter just about a month ago, he came and stayed 2 weeks with her.
Nice.
And she was able to forgive her dad, and I was so glad about it. And then my son, right before he went off, or he came home to visit one time, they almost went to blows with each other, but my son, he was like, "Listen, don't, the raising is done. I'm an adult now. Now we can just have a relationship. I respect who you are, and this is who I've become today." And it also kind of makes me mad sometimes, because it's like they forgive their dad before they forgive me. It's almost like the substance abuse is a reason, And
don't be jealous.
I know. I'm just being honest. Like, it used to kill me because I was always very transparent with them. And it's like, well, he was on drugs, and I was like, yeah, but I was here every day. Like, you can't give me credit for that. It's like I get credit for nothing.
That's the devil in you.
Well, it is.
Why you didn't marry their father in the beginning?
He didn't want to marry.
Oh, he just wanted sex.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
And you said okay?
I did.
Amazing.
Oh my goodness.
So why did you do the things that you have done, you think?
I was in a really bad place. It all started. I'm gonna have to be honest because it all started from me having my daughter out of wedlock. That was my selfish decision. I wanted a baby over marriage, and you know what I'm saying. And I didn't grow up in that. I grew up in a 2-parent household. My daddy worked real good. We had a nice life, middle class back in the '80s. I'm an '80s girl, and so I didn't give that to my children. I was selfish. I wanted a baby. And so what a mess I created.
And what made you create the mess?
Selfishness.
And what made you selfish?
When I was in college, when I was 19 years old, I don't know if I actually want to say that, but because you're going to eat me alive, I know it. But I just want to be honest. I did have an abortion, and so I never really healed from that. And it was something that I don't regret today, although I still wrestle with it, because I know the bigger picture, and I listen to your show. Trust me. But when I met their dad and I had my daughter, it was like, wow, this is kind of what I was missing. It was just stupid, just young, dumb, and stupid, and that created all the chaos.
And what made
today.
you have the abortion?
I was in college, and the guy didn't pressure me, and I was just like, no, I want to finish school, and I want to have a better life, and all I did was finish school, and not a year later I was pregnant.
And do you have a better life?
Pregnant. No.
Isn't that amazing?
Actually, it's amazing. Yeah, I look back on it, and I just sometimes I don't.
You got the degree, you had the abortion,
and
you
I'm in
made the
debt.
babies, and
I'm in debt to my eyeballs.
See, and you still don't have the better life.
Right.
What is a better life?
I probably would be more successful financially. I've always been successful professionally, but I probably would be more successful professionally doing the things that I actually want to do, actually in the career field that I wanted to go into. And that probably, I yearn for that. I actually yearn for the career that I actually want to have, opposed to the career that I have now.
And you think that that's the better life if you had done the career that you really wanted to do?
I'm not sure, but I think if I would have really been focused on making me a better person, whether it's focused on, making better decisions about careers and about education and being more focused instead of being selfish, maybe.
And how can you make yourself a better person?
Today, I'm very honest. I've not always been a very honest person, and with myself. And so I'm very honest with myself, and I can take the blows. If I can take listening to your show, I can take calling in. I was ready for it because I'm a truth seeker. And I have a closer relationship with God. I mean, I was brought up in the church. I know how to pray and things like that, but it's not always been a part of my daily activity. It's not even praying before I eat. It's not that I wasn't taught that. I just went against what I was taught along the way.
And do you obey your husband?
I do obey my husband. I am an obedient wife.
And who taught you to pray?
My mother.
And how did she teach you to pray? In what way?
She taught me to journal. She taught me just to have frank conversations with God, just like I'm talking to anybody, just like I'm talking to you. And, that was my mom's way of talking to God. After she passed, I found a lot of letters that she, a lot of things that she wrote down, and she used to always tell me to journal and pray and things like that. And so that's what I do now.
Have you ever wondered why those prayers have never worked?
Yes.
I'm glad that your children, adult children now, have forgiven their father because all human beings, men and women, boys and girls, they yearn for the Father. And the mother, as you said earlier, I'm a little mad because I did all this for them. They were with me, and they want to forgive. They're forgiving their father.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't help it because in the soul of all children, they yearn for the Father, and nothing can replace that but a return to the Father.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just want to finish up this conversation about the things you have done.
Okay.
Do you believe you did them?
Yes.
And what caused you to do them?
I just keep thinking of the word selfish. Just
And
doing the things. Yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish your point.
Mm-hmm. Just doing the things that I want to do, making selfish decisions, and not care about who it affects. And that's where I think a lot of it comes from.
And what caused you to become selfish?
I honestly don't know. I oftentimes think about that because the way I grew up in my household and things like that, and I went back to my childhood, and it's just a lot of history of mental health. I'm just sharing with you. I'm not making excuses, but I think the more that you know, and it gives you a little bit more insight. It's my dad. He committed suicide when my son was 9 months old. So there was a lot of mental health stuff on my father's side, and I'm not saying that has one thing has anything to do with another, but there's just layers of things that contributed to maybe some dysfunction in my life, because I'm definitely not making excuses. I've been in therapy. I've had therapists. I've had a couple of them over the years, and to work on myself and to get better. And the only way that I saw that things started to get better to me is the first thing I had to do is I had to atone for a lot of the things that I did. And that was a very, very painful journey because I had to look back on all the selfish decisions that I made, and I had to sometimes even go back and apologize to people that I hurt because of situations that I was in. And then I had to clearly start focusing on my children, and then I had to work on my relationship with God. I have a relationship with God. I grew up with God. I know how to pray and things like that. I mean, but I went away from that. Like I said, my mom taught me how to pray. So I had to be honest with God and be honest with myself, and that was very, very, very difficult because I had to look back over the abortion that I had. I had to look back on a lot of selfish decisions that I made over my life, and it was very painful.
When you went to therapy with those people, were they able to help you?
Yes. I can say yes.
And so they were able to help you while you're not free?
That's a good question. I don't know.
So then why do you think they were able to help you?
I don't know. I think that's because the way society has designed things, and I've allowed myself to think, I can go to therapy and make things better. I don't know. I honestly can't answer that.
When you say you had to atone, what does that mean?
I had to ask for forgiveness from people. I had to forgive myself.
And where do you get the idea you have to ask for forgiveness?
I don't know. I just kind of feel like I have to ask people to forgive me for the things that I've done in order for I guess to make me feel better.
What?
I guess.
And
I don't know.
And then you say you had to forgive yourself?
Yeah.
And did you forgive yourself?
I'm still holding on to a little bit of residual because of the things that my children did deal with, and the outcome of some of the things I see them have to deal with is painful.
And so did you forgive yourself?
I guess I haven't.
But you said you had to forgive yourself, but you did not forgive yourself?
I guess not.
You don't know for sure?
I don't.
So,
I guess coming from this conversation, I don't. I guess I have not forgiven myself.
And why not?
Because I guess I won't allow myself to forget. I'm constantly reminding myself of things, or I let things remind me or take me back to a place of dysfunction and chaos, and it's hard when it's right in front of your face when you have, a daughter in the situation that she's in, and then I have a son, and, dealing with those relationships. But I think that's what it is. I'm not real sure.
And what's the purpose of reminding yourself?
I don't know. Torture. I guess I like torturing myself. That's why I called, Jesse. I mean, honestly, I called because I wanted to get it off my chest, I guess, because it's, and just, I know that I'm not alone in the things that I'm going through, and I'm not ashamed of it because I've came a long way. I'm not looking for sympathy or anybody to be, feel happy or sad for me. I wanted to have an honest conversation with you because I want my kids to forgive me. And I know it's because of a lot of the things that I did, a lot of selfish decisions that I made. And
when you say you have come a long way, how far have you come?
Well, I'm taking better care of myself. I'm now married, and I'm in a healthy marriage. I'm taking better care of myself physically. I used to be overweight. Now I work out and do things, and, I didn't take care of myself. And I pray now. I have, a good relationship with God. I'm still working on things. I'm not a reader, so I like to listen. So that's how I kind of got drawn to your show, to kind of, to keep myself stable and focused on positive things, because my mind will wander and go to those places. So I try to keep my mind surrounded by good things like, your show and reading other things and stuff like that.
And what's a good relationship with God that you now have? That
I'm honest with God, even though he already knows. But you got to understand, that's a big deal.
So God, Lynn, stop lying to me.
Right. Be honest with yourself for a change. And I do have a healthy marriage that my children can now observe. I'm very proud of that. My husband is the head of my household, and a lot of people don't understand that. He is, I understand when you talk about how, the blessings come through the husband, and, and those not be your words, but that's how I interpret it. Yeah. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I know my role, because my parents showed me what my role should be in marriage, and I'm proud of that. And so my parents, and so how I kind of make myself feel better and clean myself up is that now I have a healthy marriage. I have a healthy relationship. Now my kids are able to observe a good marriage, and we put God first. And we're very honest with them.
Let me ask what type of treatment you see the women doing to your son, the women he dates?
Oh, my God. Everything you've said on your show. He spends money on them. He's a slut maker.
What now? Oh, God.
And I've even said, he's a sucker, not to him, of course, but and how the lady takes his money, he'll call home, and these girls are, and I'm like, gosh, did I show you that? I know I talked to you about not letting girls take advantage of you, you know what I'm saying? But I now understand that I couldn't teach him that.
How do you know all those things are happening to him?
He tells me. We have a good relationship. In that regard. We communicate well.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Lynn.
Yes.
Do you want to be free right now?
I do.
You're not guilty of anything. You have never done anything wrong. You have never made a decision. The abortion wasn't your decision. The way you raised your kids wasn't your decision. You were blind and could not see. And the spirit of evil was guiding you and giving you all those ideas and plans that also come from the world, and you think that you are those thoughts, you think that you are your feelings, and you're not. Something else is driving you, and it's the spirit of evil that made a home in you when you became angry at your mother and she turned you away from your father. You have never been in control of your life and never will be. The real Lynn haven't done anything wrong, but this false Lynn that you have identified with, it's what's driving you. It's the spirit of evil. And that's why God said that we must be born again of the Father. We must forgive our earthly father for not protecting us from mother. Because the Satan is the woman's God, and she recreate the children in her image.
Right.
And when you forgive your father for not protecting you from your mother, God will forgive you. You don't ask for forgiveness. You apologize for resenting them. They couldn't help what they did, just as you could not help what you've done in life. It wasn't you. It was something else driving you. The real Lynn, of whom you don't know at this point, has never done anything wrong, and God is not holding anything against you. He's not judging you. Because he knows it's not you. It's the spirit that made a home in you.
So how do I get free from that? I mean, I thank you for telling me that it was, but how do I let go of that? Because obviously it's still lingering around.
It is. By realizing that it wasn't you, and forgive your mother for recreating her image. She couldn't help it, just as you couldn't help it with your kids. And forgive your father for not protecting you from your mother. He was married to his mother. He married the woman he hated because you become attracted to the spirit that you hate. That's why your son is dealing with women who are just like you. They're taking advantage of him, and he can't help it because the woman is his God right now. But your mother could not help. And then she took you to Jesus because she couldn't help what she'd done to you. And so you had to forgive them. They both are dead now?
Yes. Yes.
By realizing that you couldn't help yourself would cause you to realize that they couldn't help themselves, and that would cause you to forgive them. And God will forgive you, and he will open your eyes up, and then he will destroy the mindset, the psychological mindset, the thoughts, the feeling, which is of the devil. It's not you at all. You just been identifying with it, and the world helped you to identify with it, thinking that was you. That's why you can't explain why you did those things happen, because it really wasn't you. It was something else driving you, and you didn't know it.
Thank you for that.
If Lynn was in charge, you would have never done any of those things. You would have never made the decision that was made. You would have never done any of those things, because if you were in control and was able to make decisions, all your decisions would be good decisions. There would be nothing to hurt you or your kids or anyone else, to be honest.
Yeah. So, my husband describes it as being in the wilderness, I guess. I don't know.
You know how Paul said that in the Bible, Paul said he wanted to do the right thing, but something prevented him from doing it. And he does the wrong things when he didn't want to do them. He realized it wasn't him. It was something that made a home in him. So he stopped trying and let God take over. And that's what's the same thing happening to every human being on this side of heaven.
Well, I appreciate that.
You are worshiping the devil when you think that it was you that done those things. It wasn't you. Wow. And the guilt that you feel is Satan is accusing you and condemning you. It's not even from God.
Wow.
And the way that you forgive yourself is to have mercy on yourself, knowing that it wasn't you.
Well, I've started listening to your silent prayer.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, the first time I listened to it, I fell asleep. I got so relaxed.
Absolutely. And you know why? Because you've been stressed out worshiping the devil. living in your imagination. And now when you sit and do the silent prayer, you calm down and you're letting go and letting God take over instead of the devil.
Well, also, if you don't mind me, I want to share with you that I was a lifelong liberal until I started listening to your show. I want you to know that even though I know it's probably going to be a lot of chaos around the fact that I'm a black woman with biracial children and how did I raise my kids and things like that. I didn't raise my kids with excuses. And
nice.
I didn't raise them, my parents were both black, and so my father came up during the Civil Rights Movement. So they taught us that it was no excuses. They knew what it was. They knew we had to stand on our own 2 feet. So I appreciate the fact that you're very honest about those things, because that's how my house, my children, I tried to instill in them, even though you may be biracial or whatever the case may be, race, how people look at it, So I just wanted to just put that out there.
Yeah, you tell your children not to even care about what someone else think about, because all racist or whatever it is. Just live their lives and don't even, because human beings are evil and they try to hurt others so that they can feel better about themselves. Other human beings are hurting other human beings, so your kids should not even care about that. But that's what happens when the heart changes, then you stop being a liberal. I used to be a liberal when God changed my heart, and I became a liberal when I moved to L.A. And when God changed my heart, I'm like, what the?
And it wasn't even that. I was just a liberal, like you said, just because that's how it was supposed to be. But my thoughts and my actions were always not that. It didn't match how I actually felt.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that even today that I'm I can say that even what I stood on were not, it's just what I was taught. It was just what you were supposed to do. And now that I look at all the things that were said, how it wasn't, it wasn't set up to bring us down or black people down. We all had the same opportunities. Yeah. And so I just kind of wanted to put that out there as well. I'm educated and I make, things like that. And so it's a lot of excuses going on today. And your comments about rioting, I agree with that. Why people are tearing up their own communities. It's just a mess.
What a mess. So what do you think? What do you think about realizing that it was never you?
It brought a sense of relief to me. I'm a overthinker, so I'm probably gonna continue to think about that, and but it brought a sense of relief to me.
And I want you to really start doing the silent prayer every morning, every night, and during the day, just kind of take a moment, come back to your body, bring your mind back to your body, rather than lost in the past or future, which does not exist, because it's Satan who is reminding you of what has happened. That's not happening now, but he makes you think it is now by making you remember it, and then getting you to think tomorrow is going to be better, which does not exist. And he's keeping you away from God by keeping you in time, by making you think about the past or the future instead of being present right here, right now with God, where life is.
Well, thank you for that.
And all thoughts are all lies all the time about anything. You have never had a true thought.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage you to do the silent prayer, and then he's going to bring you out of those thoughts, and then I want you to just observe those thoughts. Don't do anything about it. It's like watching a movie. Let them come and go, and then you will see all of a sudden your whole life will start to unfold, and you shall know God. Right now, you just know about him intellectually, but
I agree.
But you don't know him. He said his children shall know him by his voice. And his voice is not the voice that talks to your head. It's the voice that causes you to see from within. Like when I told you it wasn't you. If you could see that, that's the voice of God.
I agree. Working on it.
You don't need to be suffering anymore, because Christ he took away all our suffering. He erased all our sins, and there's no reason for you to be suffering or feeling guilty or sad or lonely or any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's not you. That's the devil that made a home in you.
Yeah.
And when that ego disappear, which is of the devil and not your own, the real Lynn would come forth. You would then know Lynn. Right now, you don't even know who you are. You're not your job. You're not your thoughts. You're not your emotions. You're not the mother. You're not the wife. You're not this. You're not that. So you got to let all identities go and be no one. Be no thoughts. Be no one.
I'm going to take your advice and start, continue to listen to the silent prayer and work on it.
Yeah. And all identities will die. That's what it means to die. You have once to die, and that is die of the ego, of this false self. You have identified with the false self. That's not the real self.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking so much time with me. I really appreciate it. I'm glad I got through.
You're welcome. Let me know how it goes. And
I'll call you back.
I would recommend you let your kids listen to this tape.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Wow,
that's a good idea. I'm going to send it to my son.
Yeah. And tell them both that they need to forgive you, apologize for resenting you.
Wow.
Because you couldn't help it. Your mother did it to you, and your daughter would do it to her children. And if your son make kids, he's going to marry a woman just like you, and she's going to do it to them. It just repeats itself until they forgive, and God will forgive you. Forgive them.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And it's amazing talking to you.
Yes, thank you. It's amazing talking to you, and God bless you, and keep doing the good work that you're doing.
I will. And let me know how it goes, all right?
I will. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Amazing. And the point is, no one knows why they're doing things. And yet they do things that bring hurt to themselves. And they don't know why. And that's why I talked with Lynn for a long time. Because her story is not different than my story, your story, anyone's story. Every human being have the same story. Situation might be a little different, but it's the same story. It's the same. Every man and woman have the same problem. And they don't know why they do it. I don't know why I do that. I don't know why. Just think about it. You would never do this if you were in charge of your own life. You're not, and you never will be. It can't be, and it ain't going to be. But let go and let the higher spirit take care of your life, then situations will be different. Don't blame anyone. It's coming from you. It's inside of you.